Nyaya is the name for one of the six orthodox or Astika schools of Hindu philosophy, specifically, the school of logic and epistemology. The Nyaya school of philosophical speculation is based on texts known as the Nyaya Sutras, which were written by Aksapat Gautam sometimes between 6th century BCE and 2nd century AD. The Nyaya Sutras contain very many tenets or aphorisms. One of the popular ones among them is Kupamanduka Nyaya. In Sanskrit, Kupa means a well, Manduka means a frog. This Nyaya basically points to a person brought up in a narrow circle of home, community, village, and so on. His horizons are very narrow, his knowledge very limited, like a frog brought up in a well. The story has it that one day a sea frog came upon the shore. Moving ahead, he reached a well and accidentally fell into it. There was a frog already living in the well. On seeing the strange frog, it came up to it and had a chat with it.
Where do you come from?
I came from a sea.
How big is the sea?
Very big.
As big as my thigh.
Your thigh is too small.
Okay. Is it as big as both my thighs combined together?
No. Much bigger than that.
Surely, it can't be bigger than this well.
The sea, my friend, is much bigger than this well. It is a vast expanse of water, and appears to have no limit.
Ha 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 ha, you are lying. There cannot be anything bigger than this well.
This Nyaya applies very well in case of two people, the extent of whose knowledge of the Hindu philosophy was as widely different as the two frogs. The two individuals are Thomas Babington Macaulay and Dr. David Frawley. Thomas Babington Macaulay can be seen as equivalent to the well frog and Dr. David Frawley as equivalent to the sea frog. Thomas Babington Macaulay, a legal member of the Council of India and a British parliamentarian, gave his important minute in 1835 that changed the entire course of education in colonial India. The following statement of his demonstrates how little he knew of Hinduism.
I have no knowledge of either Sanskrit or Arabic. But I have done what I could to form a correct estimate of their value. I have read translations of the most celebrated Arabic and Sanskrit works. I have conversed both here and at home with men distinguished by their proficiency in the Eastern tongues. I am quite ready to take the Oriental learning at the valuation of the Orientalists themselves. I have never found one among them who could deny that a single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia.
The reality, as we all know, is that the available Sanskrit texts would fill several huge buildings, let alone shelves. On the other hand, Dr. David Frawley, an American author, astrologer, acharya, and a proponent of Hindutva, has written several books on Veda, Hinduism, Yoga, Ayurveda, and Vedic astrology. He was awarded the Padma Bhushan in 2015. Dr. David Frawley says, India's schools should teach the fundamental principles of Sanatan Dharma in Yoga, Vedanta, Upanishads, and Gita, as a system of self-realization and universal dharmic values. This would counter the usual anti-Hindu prejudices and stereotypes that lead to intolerance. Sanskrit is not just a human language, but the reflection of the vibratory power of cosmic intelligence into the human mind, allows us to link to the universal consciousness and repository of eternal knowledge. The Upanishads state that the true reality is not what the mind knows, but that through which the mind is known. How many academics, psychologists, or scientists have come to such knowledge today shows how the Rishi knowledge remains at the forefront of all knowledge. This is how Nyayas have a very wide applicability. So much for Nyayas for now.